Of all the signals of the sea, none turned the faces of hardy sailors more grim than the flags that spell hurricane warning. One morning late in September 1938, the dread signal swung aloft along the Florida coast. Up from the West Indies, cradle of hurricanes, moved the Terror. Up in the low atmospheric pressure, lifting ever in all directions with all whirling, drinking water.
In the fall of 1938, a hurricane came across the Atlantic Ocean, arced up the east coast of the United States, and slammed into southern New England. The eye of the hurricane went right across Long Island, and because of that, the hurricane is referred to as the Long Island Express. This is a summary of the Weather Bureau warnings log for September 21st, 1938 for the Providence area. Advisory, 12:30 p.m. Northerly winds along the New Jersey, Maryland, and southern Delaware coast will likely increase to whole gale force this afternoon and diminish tonight. Advisory, 3 p.m. Tropical storm about 75 miles west of Atlantic City, moving rapidly northeastward, with no change in intensity. Storm center will likely pass over Long Island and Connecticut late this afternoon or early tonight, attended by shifting gales. Received, Providence, 3:40 p.m. The storm was then already here. By 5 p.m., the storm center was abreast of Providence and the flood had struck.
My name is Lucy, and the hurricane was in 1938. I was 15 at the time. There was no warning of the hurricane coming. It started to rain very hard. The winds were very, very strong, and lots of trees were falling to the ground, and all the apples kept falling, you know, and my brothers and sisters kept saying, "No, we want to go pick the apple, get the apples from the ground." And my dad said, "No, you have to wait." And I also remember the fireplace my dad had built in the backyard. And there was a little teapot there, and it was shaking, but it didn't fall off the ledge, you know. And I was wondering, I asked my dad, "How come it's so bad out there and the coffee pot is just sitting there?" He says, "I don't know if that's how God wants it." The chicken barn, the roof fell off of that. Chickens were splattered all over the place. Poor chickens.
A storm like the Long Island Express may happen only once a century, but when it does take place, the results are catastrophic, and the affected areas may take years to recover.
After the hurricane was over, my dad got my 5 brothers to go out there and put everything in sacks that could be saved, like this we could store it for the winter. And I remember making a lot of apple pies because all the apples were in bushels. And my dad worked so hard as a farmer. And a lot of the crops were ruined, you know. I actually saw my dad cry. He was so heartbroken about it because he planted everything, you know.
As of today, the 1938 hurricane was the 8th costliest in United States history. In today's dollars, the hurricane did $20 billion in damages. And if the same storm were to happen today, it would do $150 billion in damages.
They had to drain that water. How they did it, I don't remember, you know, but there was lots of water because we bought papers, you know, newspapers, and it showed the pictures of the hurricane, you know, how it affected all the stores downtown. Like there was the Shepherd's, the Outlet, 5 and 10 store, and it showed all the broken windows and all the stuff flew out from the windows and, you know, from inside and was on the street and how they had to clean all that up. Once in a while we as we were growing older, we talked about the hurricane. And my mom used to say, I don't want to see that again. She was the one that suffered the most through it. She was frightened all the time. I'm just very happy to talk about the hurricane because we were survivors of it, and my brothers and sisters, they were all small, and I think we're very fortunate, and it's something to be remembered and look back into, that we can talk about it and tell it to our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren, especially when you talk about the waters, how the city was flooded, and they can't picture it. It was a terrible, terrible experience for most of us. But we survived it, my family did. This plaque is a little too small. I think it should be, for history, it should be a little larger. We really didn't know what was happening because we had no warning. But it was sad that a lot of people lost their lives, but we were very fortunate as a family that we stuck together and we lived through it. And we're thankful to God for that.